Hello, and thanks for joining us on today's webinar, How to Become a T-shaped Business Analyst in the Agile World. My name is Cynthia Hart, and I'm with Emergent. We are recording this session today, and we'll make it available on demand. Throughout the session, please submit your questions in the chat, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. So today, first, we will cover introductions. And then we will dive into what does it mean to be T-shaped. We'll look at the curious, confident, and creative business analyst. And then we'll close with some final thoughts from our experts in Q&A. So please meet our featured speakers today. Carla Silva has worked more than 15 years in the IT software and solutions industry and is currently a business analyst at Emergent. Her experience in diverse areas such as operations, pre-sales, business development, and product certifications has shaped her comprehensive view in adaptability and software development. Toms is an experienced business analyst, passionate about mentoring junior BAs, and is always there to share constructive feedback to peers. Since 2003, Toms has walked in system developer, system analyst, consultant, product manager, and business analyst shoes, and has helped many well-known companies and government agencies in Latvia and abroad. Finally, Jillian is Emergent's business analyst practice lead and has more than 15 years of experience in agile delivery teams, primarily as a business analyst, but also performing Scrum Master and product owner roles. Alongside hands-on delivery, she has led and actively participated in analyst communities of practice. So I'd like to welcome Carla, Toms, and Jillian.
Hello.
Hi, thanks.
And thank you all for joining us here today. So first, we're going to kick off the webinar with a short poll question. So I'm launching the poll now, and hopefully you can see it on your screen and pick a choice that best describes your experience of T-shaped. So let us know if you've never heard of T-shaped, if you know a little bit about it, if it's something you're actively working towards, or if you are a guru. We'll just give it one more second here. And it looks like 45% of you have never heard of T-shaped. So you are in the right place. 35% know a little bit, and 20% say they're actively working towards it, and none of you profess to be a guru. So, so we're happy to have you here today. And now I would like to turn it over to Jillian, who is going to kick us off with today's content.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, good to hear that no one's a guru. Pressure's off. So just a general overview of what being T-shaped is and what the definition is. It's really about someone who's got a kind of a real deep level of knowledge in one particular area. So for me as an analyst, that's around BA skills and kind of requirements elicitation and all that kind of good stuff. But then you will also have a breadth of knowledge as well. So that's that kind of top of the capital T. So you might have other interests in maybe being a Scrum Master or cutting code. But it's really about being a generalist with a real specialist kind of sliced down the middle. So that's what's meant by T-shaped. I'm going to hand over to one of the others in a second just to describe a bit more, but there's other things you can do some research on as well. Maybe H-shaped is an interest for you, or even pie-shaped, or M. But I think for today we'll stick to T because that's the main one. But if it's something you're interested in researching, you can do that. But Tom's is going to talk us through what it means to him and BAs in particular.
Yeah, thanks, Jillian. Hello, everyone. T-shaped business analyst for me. That means that you have reasonable skills and experience in business or even system analysis. And that's represented by this vertical bar over the T. Horizontal bar, that's formed from skills and experiences in other areas. For me personally, those would be product and project management skills and experience. Also solution architecture, design, quality assurance and testing, even UI UX. And the actual form of T-shape for each individual is different. I think as we have our own interests and experiences and skills. For somebody else, there could be more technical skills, such as coding or IT networking. Or for somebody else, that could be those could be more on soft skill side. For example, having skills like Scrum Masters have, facilitation, Scrum ceremonies, or coaching somebody else. And yeah, that's my view on T-shape.
Fantastic, Tom. Lots of things I can reflect on there and can relate to. And we're going to hand over to Carla. What's in it for me?
Thanks, Gillian. Hi, everyone. Great to be here today. So being T-shaped has a number of benefits for all job roles in general. So for us BAs, what's in it for us, really? So first and foremost, it definitely makes work a lot more interesting and diverse because we do get that chance to collaborate across different domains and contact with a lot of different people. So work does end up being fun and more motivating because of that same diversity and variety. We're able to try out different roles, different techniques, innovate. For me, it certainly comes down to having the opportunity of continuous learning and also having the chance to find more meaningful work. Another positive thing is that there are so many great opportunities out there in terms of career for T-shaped candidates because of that broader skill set and higher adaptability they do have. They are highly seeked by employers. Who are the other people that can benefit from this? These can be our colleagues, team members, stakeholders, and users. The outcomes and the team collaboration improve in general because of that wider interest that we have and the ability to touch on a lot of different areas. And also, we're able to support each other on the team when needed. So if we do need to fill in for our PO or a Scrum Master, we are able to do that. Also, having T-shaped members on the team encourages other people on the team to grow as well, and that's something super positive too. And all of this leads ultimately to delivering innovative solutions for our clients, our stakeholders, and end users, which is certainly something we all aim for and work towards. The principles that we value the most at Emergent and really define our nature are being curious, confident, and creative. And as BAs, we really identify with these well. And so here we'll be focusing on each one of these pillars and how they actually help us and enable us to become T-shaped and how it impacts our fulfillment in our own role as BA within a team. So first, it's important to really get the chance to feed your curiosity. I don't think it would be an understatement to say that all analysts are very super curious by nature. And yes, there are excellent reasons to keep asking lots of questions as it enhances our learning, understanding, and empathy. Work towards improving your confidence. So here we'll talk about how can you actively listen while making yourself be heard at the same time and really make an important impact on your team and contribute to better outcomes. And finally, creativity. So learn to use or boost your creativity. Try new approaches, adapt your ways of working, and focus on techniques like visualization and experimentation, as this leads to helping the team really thinking outside of the box, solving problems, and finding creative solutions. So I'll hand it over to Tom to take you through curiosity first.
Thanks. Curiosity for me is actually poking my nose into different areas. It's like asking a lot of questions, a lot of why questions, and also participating actively in discussions with stakeholders, colleagues, and teammates. Because it's not good enough for me that just customer or product owner requests some specific features. As an analyst, I prefer to have this deeper understanding of the context why something is needed, why right now, so that I can be sure that I'm working on the right thing. Also, this one helps to formulate this business value part of user stories, which we as business analysts usually have to write. Sometimes it becomes a bit tricky if I ask too many those why questions. Some stakeholders might get tired or think that I do not understand them so well. But yeah, that is my tip on that, is to reflect back what I have understood so far. For example, to verify it and explain my thought process, what I'm thinking right now, to justify my additional questions as well. And since I hear various opinions, needs, and concerns from customer, I can nicely bring down that customer view to my development team. Or I can discuss also with solution architects how potential future use cases of the product may impact architectural decisions right now, for example. Yeah, also I'm interested in our internal processes too, how we work within our team, project, whole organization. I'm curious and interested to try out new experiments, new ways of doing things. Becoming one of the first adopters is actually quite fun. It gives nice and interesting experience, and I can contribute as well a little bit, for example, by providing this constructive feedback. And what I want to say is that curiosity can be not only about the product you are working on, but also about your ways of working, how to optimize the flow of work end to end, which is, by the way, one of the ground principles of VFQ. And VFQ, we will cover that at the end of the webinar. That's about curiosity.
Fantastic. Thanks, Toms. Lots of things in there I can really relate to, so that was great. Thank you. I'm going to talk to you about being confident. And the first thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it really loud because I'm going to go against what I'm about to say, is being confident is not about being the most loud person in the room. It really most definitely isn't. I think it's a misconception. So being confident is around active listening. It's around being able to say, I don't know, or can you tell me more? It's really around learning how to facilitate discussions, really engaging people in the conversation. And active listening, I'm going to keep saying it because it's one of my big tick items when I'm kind of looking at people. It's how you get that kind of deeper understanding, how you really encourage people to kind of give you that bit more. And when you engage with people more, your influence grows. And that's because people will come to you and they'll ask you to help them maybe with that awkward conversation, or they'll trust you to represent them in the right way. So as that happens, you become someone who kind of leads from the middle. It's another one of my favorite things. People have been around me a lot. I'm always going to kind of bang on about leading from the middle. And around that, something that Tom's actually touched on as well. When you've got that kind of broader context, broader knowledge, and that depth of knowledge, you'll find that, for example, the developers will kind of talk to you about how that they can give more bang for the buck, how they can get things built in a better way. And you'll also become confident enough that when the QAs come along, and they're really good at edge cases or missing things, aren't they? That's actually a good thing. You shouldn't feel you've not done your job well. You're able to actually engage in that conversation, accept the extra information. And when you get all of those things together, it means that when you're having those conversations with your product owner or your stakeholders, they really value that. They know that you're listening to those different people, that they're going to get good insight from you. And that means that you can then influence more of the outcome, and you get a much better outcome for the business, a much better outcome for your customers as well. And finally, biggie, challenging positively. So it's around not being the person that goes, no, or no, I don't think so, or I don't know. It's around asking people the questions that bring out the best and lead to a much better outcome in the end. And that's something that you can really develop. and it helps you to kind of expand your influence even further. And I think that leads me into talking about creativity maybe as well, because sometimes looking at different ways of approaching things, different ways of kind of asking, questioning, or even laying out information is all around creativity. So Carla, I'm going to pass over to you.
Thanks, Gillian. Excellent and very useful points on confidence. So for creativity, I know some of you might be thinking, this isn't really for me. I'm not the creative type. There are far more creative people on my team than me, or creativity is either something that you have or you don't have. Well, this isn't true. I encourage you to think differently, because being creative is much more than envisioning a new product or a new service or coming up with new ideas. This can also be about reinventing ourselves and adapting our methods and really thinking outside of the box. So it is definitely something that we can learn and we can actively work towards improving. This can be finding creative ways of communicating by using pictures, diagrams, stories, or using creative ways of breaking things down. And here, an excellent technique to use that I would recommend without a single doubt would be story mapping. So when we story map, we break down the user journey into smaller chunks of work, decide what's critical and how we can achieve those outcomes. It's a very visual technique. Now more than ever, there are plenty of apps out there and whiteboards that really make this process easier online. So story mapping really helps increase that common understanding across the entire team. And kind of lays out that puzzle so everyone can see and understand how each piece fits into that bigger picture. And we're also able to experiment and innovate with story maps. Story maps don't have to be the same kind of one size fits all. We can add pictures, add links, make it useful for the team, and kind of do these different experiments. See how we can rearrange things. How can we break things down differently? And also decide the next increments as kind of part of that continuous exercise in discovering quality based on the regular feedback we receive and act upon. So promoting a creative facilitation within the team of brilliant people that we work with really encourages that thinking process, while at the same time keeping the team grounded on the particular problem. Concrete questions that we could ask during this process could be things like what Gillian mentioned. How could we do this differently? Also, is this something we know, or is this an assumption that we need to validate? One of my personal favorites is what could we do if there were no technical limitations? What kind of solutions could we come up with? And this kind of promotes that brainstorming and really thinking outside of the box. So then it's kind of like a cycle, and we do face additional new constraints and then have these new challenges that push us into another direction, and where we adapt and find the need to innovate with additional creative solutions. So for creativity, I think we can really make use of the curiosity that Tom's talked about, and the confidence that Gillian also talked about, to really question and challenge the value behind what we're thinking, what we're doing, so we can shift towards the mindset of thinking, what can we do different to really innovate and achieve better outcomes?
Fantastic. I think I'm going to hand over to Cynthia now to carry out another poll for us.
Definitely. And thank you so much, Carla, Toms, and Gillian. That was a lot of really great information on becoming T-shaped. So like we mentioned, we're going to pause here for a poll just to check in to see how everyone is feeling. So you should see the poll being launched on your screen right now. So if you could just give us a little indication if you're feeling like this is an interesting topic, but maybe it's not for you, if you're curious and need more information, if you are loving this topic, and if you are ready to sign up. So I'm seeing some people are still voting. I'll just give it a few more seconds here. Okay. So this is great. Nobody said that it's not for them. So that's why you're here today. You are all You are all curious. 48% need more info. This is totally me, thanks, 39%. And where do I sign up is 13%. So thank you so much for sharing your feedback on this topic. And we did anticipate that people would be wanting some more information. So Jillian, going to hand it back to you to kind of share some resources and tips that we thought about ahead of time.
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear those results. Yep. Obviously, we're quite passionate about T-shaped. It's good to hear you are too. So there are a lot of things you can do right now. And I guess I'm probably going to hand over to Tons and Carla before I summarise a little bit at the end, because I know they've got some really great tips and things they've kind of talked about. So Tons, for example, what might you share?
Yep. I would like to extend this point or emphasize this point about knowledge sharing groups, taking advantage of them. It seems like obvious. However, I would like to add that you can join not only your knowledge sharing sessions, which are targeted for business analysts, but also you may take advantage of other communities like developers, product management, consulting, and so that's how to become more T-shaped. And as we have different practices in Emergent, I am participating in other practices too, which are solution architecture, and I'm also looking into joining UI UX knowledge sharing events. Yeah, and in general, my advice is just be active, participate wherever you can, meet new people, accept opportunities that arise, and yeah, for example, talk in a webinar about T-shaped analyst. That's how you may become more T-shaped.
Totally agree with those. I also like the point you made earlier on about being nosy. Carla, over to you.
Sure, thanks. So something we emphasized several times here already today, and I think it's always important to highlight and talk about again, be curious and definitely don't be afraid to ask questions or experiment or try new techniques. Putting yourself out there is an excellent way to learn and grow, even if you're not comfortable. So it's kind of getting outside of that comfort zone and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. If you're looking for a particular book, since I mentioned story mapping, I would definitely recommend a book by Jeff Patton, which is called User Story Mapping, Discover the Whole Story, Build the Right Product. It gives you the 101 on story mapping, how it kind of comes to life with real examples, and illustrates the process throughout different phases, starting from an opportunity to discovery, including different variations and flavors we can add to. The book is also very visual, lots of pictures, takeaways, and humor in general. So it's very enjoyable.
Perfect. And I guess a couple more from me is around having a look and identifying your skills, maybe your gaps in your skills and your interests. A lot of being T-shaped, you can actually drive yourself. So some of it will be project driven perhaps, and opportunities that arise, but an awful lot of it is actually driven by you as well. So, we all love having a checklist, if I can actually say it. So actually having a matrix of things that you're good at, things you want to learn more about, interests you particularly got, it really helps you. And I always like a bit of a bargain, 2 for 1. Quite often these things you can use when you're putting your appraisal together as well. So you can give yourself a bit of a pat on the back as well and say, yep, I've done all these things and aren't I great? People also really like you to be interested in them, and they're really happy to share what they're doing and to share the knowledge and to involve you in things. So ask people, can you pair with them? Can you have some mentoring? Can you watch what they're doing? Which leads me on to a really good example, actually. So one of our colleagues was talking to me the other day, and she's working with a team who are developing APIs. And so she's been working every day with the developers after the stand-up and getting them to show her how they're fulfilling the stories. And that's a great agile practice anyway. But for her, she's got so much more knowledge out of it. And that's really kind of improved the flow of work. And that's another kind of the key principle we have around the flow, because she can understand how developers are working, and so she can break the stories down better. And on the back of that, she's even gone away and actually learned how to write her own API, which I think is super impressive. But for her, it's an extra layer, it's an extra interest. And I was just like, wow, that's a great example and perfect timing for the webinar as well, I might add. For me, I used to invite myself to all sorts of things. I am proper nosy. And one of those is around user testing. And one particular session was a real eye-opener. And I'll share it with you. So we all happily trooped in, sat behind the one-way mirror, and in came our candidate. And they kind of played around with this app we were super proud of. We've definitely done the best. It was an amazing experience. I think quite a while. And then she came over and tapped on the window and went, I know you're in there. Why did you do it like this? And it was just amazing. It was great. And I always kind of encourage the whole team to come along to those sessions if they got the chance, and developers, because it gave me a real insight. And I really promised from then on to be a kind of a voice of the customer. And that's something I've always kind of championed, and it's always really expanded my role as well. And again, I'm going to say curiosity, be proper nosy. You get an awful lot out from it. And the story mapping, loads of templates, as Carl said, that's something we'd really, really, really highly encourage. So I think that's probably enough tips. Have you all heard enough for now? I'm going to hand you back over to Cynthia, actually.
Thanks so much, all. Those are some really great tips there. And just a reminder, I see some questions have come in the chat. We are going to get to the Q&A portion in just a moment here. And if other questions have come up as over the course of this time together, please feel free to put them in the chat box. So I'd like here to just take a step back, and I don't know how much everyone on the call knows about Emergn, but we are a global digital business services firm, and we are creating lasting positive change by supporting the people who drive innovation forward. So we do this through our 3 services: consulting, delivery, and learning. And our mission is to improve the way people and companies work forever. So our clients look for better outcomes, and that is at the heart of everything that we are doing. Value Flow Quality, known as VFQ, is our work-based principles and practice framework. VFQ enables people to learn and adopt new modern ways of working to deliver products, services, or ideas to the market. And you probably heard a little bit about this reference, so just wanted to make sure everybody knows that Value Flow Quality runs through our analyst practice and inspired much of what you heard today about being curious, confident, and creative. On this slide, you can see a little bit more about Emergn's approach to work, which is underpinned by Value Flow Quality, VFQ. We follow our 3 guiding principles and bring those to life with our 3 essential practices.
Cool.
And here we are for Q&A. So let's get into it with some of the questions that you had today. So I see the first one here. Let me just get everybody on the screen here. I see the first one here. To what extent do you feel knowledge about a domain should a BA have? Foundational, medium, or expert?
Mm-hmm.
You want to take that one, Gillian?
Yes, I'm chuckling because it is an age-old question and it comes up quite a lot. And I think I'm going to give you a really annoying answer, which is it depends. I would tend to actually suggest if you're a good analyst and you're working collaboratively as part of a team, domain knowledge shouldn't actually be the be-all and end-all, because you shouldn't be making assumptions and you need to be fact-finding all the time. So actually a conversation we had yesterday, Tom's and Carla and I, Tom's actually saying he quite often avoids looking at a system because it actually then overly influences maybe what he might put forward as a solution or when he's working with those people. And you've got product owners, product managers, all sorts of other people around. So I'd say if you're actively questioning, domain knowledge should not be the be-all and end-all, and it definitely shouldn't impact your confidence. We do have some clients, I'll admit, who will ask for a lot of domain knowledge, but that's my view. So hopefully that's answered the question for you.
Great. Let's go to the next question here. What are the 3 skills you would recommend, or soft skills and maybe some courses or qualifications? What are kind of the top, I guess, building on the resources question from before? Carla, I don't know if you want to take that one.
Sure, I'll give my point of view. So this is also something that varies and can be kind of personal to each of us. Each of us will have our own different views of what the top 3 skills are. For me, one of the soft skills would definitely, certifications would be around agile, product ownership, and something about UI, UX as well, just to kind of have that broad view in terms of product development. Some other skills that I have seen some of other colleagues pursue as well, things like coaching, automation, AI, and even things like learning about other people, how to handle stakeholders, how to negotiate conflicts, for instance, and facilitation. We do have a few EDX courses on Immersion, like a product management introduction course. You can certainly join an agile community. And also a good suggestion that someone had in our BA practice lunch and learns was joining Toastmasters. So Toastmasters is international, and you can join it and kind of really practice and improve your communication skills, which kind of builds a lot on the confidence as well. Mm-hmm. Did you have anything you want to add, Thomas, Gillian?
From my perspective, yeah, my suggestion is to be curious, but we all already covered, but yeah, it doesn't sound something fresh, but that's what I'm suggesting to anybody. Be nosy, look into ways how to help other people, other colleagues in other areas, not only other BAs, but also, for example, developers, QAs. Also ask challenging questions to designers or solution architects. That way you will let them think a bit more or from different perspective, and you also learn how they are arguing and how they are thinking, their way of doing things. So
yeah, I think I'd probably add on that Toastmasters, I've seen people have a lot of success from that. And also within kind of communities practice, giving a safe space where people can carry out activities, share tips is really kind of key. But I think, yeah, it's about keeping your options open. And I know I went and actually did a UX course on the back of kind of poking my nose in previously, and it just helped really expand and understand a bit more around apps and websites and how people actually use them rather than how we think they do.
Perfect. And one other question came in here, sort of expanding on the confidence theme, just kind of asking kind of some tips on how to grow confidence.
I'm going to take that one, just it's one that's kind of quite personal to me. So a lot of people think I'm very confident. Between us, I'm an introvert actually. And so I actually had to work on different approaches to kind of put myself into different situations. And again, I'm just going to say you don't have to be loud to be confident. So I had an amazing boss in my early days, and I was just always in awe. He used to kind of deliver these massive long courses, big presentations, and it was just, you just look at some people and just go, wow. And he gave me one tip, which I kind of still use. He used to actually have a ring, and he used to, if he was feeling he just needed to recenter himself or just kind of take a breath, that ring. One thing with me, you probably didn't see much of my hands during this, quite really, but I actually tend to fiddle with my watch strap to the point I've actually broken it, you can see. And it's just something that I just find it takes my mind off, and I kind of get on with things. But I was also massively lucky. I had an agile coach who was a facilitation coach as well, and I got a qualification out at the end of it. And they just, they did all sorts of things that just worked for me that made me feel very relaxed. It's only people. What's worse that can happen? Honestly, I think confidence it's about being you and just learning your own style, asking questions, and if people want to be loud, that's fine, but you got this. That's kind of what I'd say.
Those are great tips. So I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat, and definitely we're going to share our contact information at the end, so you can always follow up with us after the webinar. But Gillian, do you want to close with some final thoughts here?
Yes, I am. I'm going to say a big thank you. I'm also flashing up a slide here as well. So I'm really grateful you made the time to come and have a listen to us, and we've really enjoyed having the time to have this conversation. It's not always an opportunity to get all the time. So it's been a real pleasure, with Carla and Tom's. Thank you so much. And with Cynthia as well for helping us with this, to give us a chance to have a conversation. We are looking at recruiting people. We're always interested in speaking to people who want to further their careers. They're curious, So if you want to look at our careers website, you'll see some opportunities there, or you can reach out to us on LinkedIn as well. And we're happy to have a chat. But I really appreciated you giving us your time.
That's great. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks to all of our speakers and to all of you for joining us today. We will send a recording of this webinar, and we're also going to pass along a handy cheat sheet of our 5 whys technique, which I think you'll find pretty useful in your day-to-day. And in the meantime, if anything else comes up, please do reach out to us. You can find the contact information of Carla, Jillian, and Tom's on the screen. And again, we will share all this in an email to you after the webinar. So thanks again, everyone, and hope you have a great day.